In this video, I am joined by the Italiano. We're talking all about Tomorrowland. There are a lot of rumors surfacing recently that Tomorrowland at Disneyland might get I don't know what you'd call it, kind of like a modest beautification. We're going to talk about it, what we might be able to expect up next with the freshly shaven Italiano. Here we go. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55. I got the Italiano here today. Now, you might be wondering, why did George shave, right? He just shaved recently, but why would he shave again? Well, to answer your question, we were on Theme Park Conductor's channel last night, and we decided the three of us are going to do a beard contest, basically, a 5-day beard challenge starting today. We're not going to shave for 5 full days. We're going to reconvene with Conductor on Tuesday and see who has the biggest beard. Now, we already know George is going to win, but it's still a fun little contest. But yeah, what do you think about it, George? You think you're in the lead? You're going to win, or what?
I don't know. I mean, I shaved last night, and then I mean, look at this. Like, you can already see the 5 o'clock shadow.
You already got this. Yeah, you already got this double. I posted it on Twitter, and everyone's like, "Yeah, George has this. George has this." Now, I actually grow hair pretty fast,
but you grew up pretty fast too.
Yeah, I grow pretty fast, but it's not to your level though. I not quite. So we'll see though in 5 days on Tuesday night. So make sure you check out Theme Park Conductor on Tuesday night because we'll be live doing our beard contest results. But George, if you can let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
Mr. Stickies, Diggies, Diggies. There we go. So let's dive right in. So George, last night we had that great live stream with Theme Park Conductor, right? Yes. And we talked a little bit about Tomorrowland. Actually, we talked quite a bit about Tomorrowland with him, but you mentioned something in that show. So if you want to set the table and kind of go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And to echo your statement, it was a great conversation. Theme Park Conductor is doing a great job with his channel and everything. We wish him all the best as he continues growing out the channel, and hopefully that we'll have a lot more interesting topics to dive into by having him on our channel, and then vice versa. Anyway,
yeah, well, pretty much. I'm guessing in like 2 or 3 months he'll have more subs than us, and we'll be like, "Oh my God, dude, you're already at 10K.
Yes.
What's going on, Conductor?" He's doing great work, really.
Absolutely. But during the Tomorrowland conversation, I had brought up the notion that what if, and there goes my kind of what if blue sky, notion of what Disney could possibly do with Tomorrowland that could be beneficial for the land itself, have that nostalgia for the fans, but also bring a newer kind of vibrant tone to the land itself. And me personally, Marty Sklar said it best about Walt Disney himself, and it was, Walt had 1 foot in the past and 1 foot in the future. What if they took that approach with Tomorrowland by looking to the future by going back into the past? And what I mean by that is we were discussing a lot of like whether or not the People Mover would come back. What if they did revitalize the People Mover, maybe in a different way than what it originally was, so they kind of give it a little bit of an upgrade? Because we had mentioned also there was a source that stated that the People Mover track is not in as bad shape as a lot of people think.
Right. Exactly.
But
we actually covered that like I think it was like 2 years ago. We covered that on the channel. This person, I don't want to say their name because I don't know if they want their name out there, but this person DM me and said, I work for a construction company. My company was there to evaluate the track. It's not falling apart. It's not as bad as it looks, basically, Yeah.
And so we're, talking about, that and the land itself. And I wondered if What if they brought back the Carousel of Progress to Disneyland? Because I think that that fits quite well in Walt's original park. You
Yeah.
know, the attraction was at the 1964 New York World's Fair before it got moved over to Disneyland. And but what if they revitalized that in a different kind of newer way with a newer storyline, update the theater, new audio animatronics, sort of kind of how like they did with the Country Bear Jamboree down at Walt Disney World, and they can kind of tie that into like the time frame of Disneyland's 70th to the 75th anniversary, because you know, especially for the 75th anniversary, that's a kind of a big deal for a milestone for a theme park. And then we're also hearing rumblings that we're going to get the Walt Disney audio animatronic uh, in the Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. So it all kind of ties back into the Walt Disney era of what his vision was for Tomorrowland. But rather than try to move forward into the future, because futuristic stuff isn't as evergreen as a lot of people think, because technology just keeps on progressing.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, there's one vision, one version of the future that actually is pretty timeless, and that is the mid-century vision for the future. You know, I mean, that vision of the future still seems futuristic today. If you watch, you know, an old cartoon called The Jetsons, that's mid-century future, basically, right? That's the same kind of time period or era that we're talking about here with Disneyland's Tomorrowland. So it's a great idea, George, that you're look to the past to sort of move forward. You can kind of lean in and go all in, like all chips are in on the mid-century future with Tomorrowland. Obviously, what you do, you need to spruce up the aesthetics for the land, right? So you spruce everything up, you bring everything up to snuff. Like you said, you bring back the People Mover. Maybe you have a sponsor, maybe get Apple involved with a new technology to kind of propel the People Mover cars and stuff like that. You want to enhance stuff. You don't want to, you know, completely go back to the 1960s, but at least aesthetically, it's a good idea, because that version or that vision of the future still stands. It still feels futuristic. It's weird because it's not really even dated. The mid-century vision of the future isn't even dated. Like it still seems futuristic. Where if you go back and look at the future of like the 1980s. Like, for example, if you ever watched Back to the Future 2, which is a great movie, by the way, you know, but the version of the future in that movie is very dated, right?
Yes.
The 80s version of the future feels very dated. Walt's version or the general kind of mid-century version of the future doesn't feel dated. It still feels very futuristic. So that might be the right approach, and it would probably save them some money too, because it's already mid-century essentially. I mean, at its core, our Tomorrowland already has the architecture for that. You just have to like go all in and really spruce it up, you know?
And you kind of still get also what you're talking about, like that mid-century futuristic tone, even in Spaceship Earth, when
Right.
you're doing the kind of like the customized, like how do you see your future on the little screen that's in your vehicle. um it shows you that mid-century kind of tone future, like when you put it together. So it, as you said, kind of like the Jetsons, so to speak. I think that would boost very well as far as architectural theme, just to kind of revitalize the land in an kind of a different way, but also bring back a little bit of the classic attractions. And I know Disney, you know, is heavily on the IPs right now, which is fine. But I feel like that with Tomorrowland, that may not be the best route for them to go. I feel like if they bring back the classic attractions like the People Mover, like the Carousel of Progress, Journey Through Inner Space, you know, like all those kind of like types of attractions, I think that would boost well with Tomorrowland. Now, again, would you bring back as like the versions of them being like the old retired? No, you bring something back in that format, sort of like, again, like how we were talking about with Test Track 3.0,
Right.
but they're going to have like a little bit of World of Motion, which was the attraction Test Track replaced. So that's what they can kind of do, what I feel would be appropriate for Tomorrowland.
Yeah, and knowing Disney though, because you're right with the IP, right? It would be unlikely that they'd bring the Carousel of Progress back to how it currently stands at Walt Disney World, because you know what would happen. It would become Zootopia and turn into the carousel of progress, right? You know what I'm saying? That's exactly what they would do, George. That's exactly what they would do. No, but I mean, honestly, that would be fantastic. And it would be a great tribute to Walt, a great tribute to the park. You know, I would love that. I really would. Will they do it? Probably not, unfortunately. It's too much of a, like, we're Disney nerds, we're diehard fans. It appeals to us. The normies probably won't get it. At least the Carousel of Progress element, I don't think it would sell. But I don't know. It would be just a beautiful way to go about it, though, if in a perfect world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel that with Tomorrowland that they're gonna, and again, we talked about this many times, like on our channel and on Conductors, but it's Disney's gonna kind of go the safer route right now with Tomorrowland, and I know that's a lot of frustrating with the fans and everything, because we've been, you know, as you blatantly said it, you know, stood up at the altar many times when it comes to Tomorrowland, and
Yeah.
I think because Disney has done that so many times, it's starting to become a little bit unforgiven in that notion that they
people are getting very cynical now.
Yeah.
Because of it.
Because so I think that if Disney had not like mentioned anything and just maybe now said, you know what, yeah, we're going to do a little bit of some touch-ups to Tomorrowland, then they'd be like, okay, we could deal with it because of Disneyland Forward and what have you. But I think even though this is a legit reason why they're kind of band-aiding Tomorrowland for Disneyland Forward, we're already past that breaking point. It's like, you know, do we really even care at this point? Because it's like Tomorrowland will never be, I don't want to say completed, because really nothing in Disney will ever be completed, but at least have a rejuvenized kind of land for Tomorrowland.
Yeah, Tomorrowland has been a problem really since the beginning. It's hard to keep up with the technology, you know, and that's why your idea of going to the past is a great idea, because that version of tomorrow stands even true today. It still feels futuristic, you know what I'm saying? So it's not as risky. We'll see what happens, though. You know, I mean, you're right, though. It is frustrating as a fan, because we've gone. Well, we had a 98 Tomorrowland over 20 years ago now. You know what I'm saying? It's been a long time. Over 25 years ago, even. It's a long time ago. And, you know, we've been waiting for a proper Tomorrowland. And from what we're hearing from our sources, like, you know, Mondo and what have you, this isn't going to be, you know, multi-billion-dollar, you know, Tomorrowland renovation. It's a modest redo. Now, look, there were some things in that thread, right, with Frederick, who is also a great source, former cast member. You know, they were saying where they're going to retheme Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters, probably to something like Wreck-It Ralph, I would imagine. You know, we're going to get a nice, modest renovation aesthetically, things like that. So it's not going to be terrible, but it just seems a little bit, because we waited so long for a new Tomorrowland, it just feels like not enough, considering how long we've been waiting for this thing. But I get why Disney's doing it too. I can understand it, because look, they want to get into Disneyland Forward. So let's handle the Tomorrowland issue right now. Let's get it going. Let's get it good enough, basically, for the next 10, 15 years, that we can really focus on the big IP, which is really why Disney wants Disneyland Forward stuff so bad. Is the big IP is over there with Disneyland Forward, with your Frozen, you know,
Toy Story
Avatar. Land. Yeah, right. Hopefully not. Yeah, hopefully not. Oh man, I tell you, you know what, Disney, if you put Toy Story Land in that Disneyland Forward land, man, you're disrespecting the West Coast, dude.
Yeah. Oh, so y'all ain't gonna let nobody disrespect the West Coast, huh?
You can't disrespect Disneyland like that. Now, look, you know, and I've said it in many videos, I don't hate Toy Story Land. I thought it was a very cute land. I think the Slinky Dog is a really fun ride. I just think that if you're going to spend all that money and all that political capital to get this land rezoned, they spent like 3 years getting it rezoned, and then to go ahead and throw in a land like Toy Story Land that's so unambitious. It's just such a waste. You know, put your Avatar in there. That's perfect. Do the Frozen thing. Perfect. Even Zootopia. Cool. Not Toy Story Land. If you want Toy Story Land, put it somewhere else that doesn't involve the land that you blood, sweat, and tears try to obtain for 3 years. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of why I'm but we'll see, dude. I don't know. We're gonna go to D23. It might be that we could be sitting there next to each other in that Honda Center, and Daddy Josh comes out and goes, "Guess what? Here we go. I'm dropping the stinky dog on you. Here we go."
Dude, oh my gosh. I think if that were to happen after the presentation, I'd have to like record your like raw reaction.
Oh yeah,
because I know like that would be like an OG moment for you that you just like.
I would be. Here's the thing too that I'd be really frustrated with, because DCA has gotten the shaft for so long. I mean, we had that one little moment in time in like 2007 to 2012 where DCA got a lot of love. With Buena Vista Street, Cars Land, World of Color, like just everything was like, Little Mermaid, the whole thing. But for the most part, DCA has gotten really the shaft from Disney. You know what I'm saying? We're at a moment now, again, where we can possibly really update this park and show it love and really bring it closer to Disneyland. I get it. It's never going to be Disneyland, but we can sure as hell try to get as close as we can, right?
Yes.
And then to sit there and go, ta-da, here's Toy Story Land. It's like, I feel like we're going back to the early 2000s with DCA. Toy Story Land is basically a Bugs Land with a roller coaster. Let's be completely honest. The props and everything look like Bugs Land. It does. But here's one thing why that maybe we won't get Toy Story Land, because Toy Story Land includes Midway Mania, correct?
Correct.
And we already have that on the pier, so it's possible they might not want to do Toy Story Land with just one attraction, unless they add a second one, but I don't know.
Well, and here's the thing, too. If they do Toy Story Land, hypothetically, which I know you're dying for, but
yeah, I can't.
But like if they were to do like a Slinky Dog, type of roller coaster. Now, if they were to do the alien swirling saucers, but here's the caveat to that.
Oh, yeah.
That's the same ride system as Mater's Junkyard Jamboree.
It's Mater, yeah.
So, I mean, are they really going to want to do two exact kind of replicas, but just different IPs to that? Now, of course, there is the argument that they could add maybe some of the international Toy Story attractions, like the Green Army Men parrot shooter thing, or the RC Racer. That's the half.
I'm telling you, man, I will be so. This is like the word. Like that is like for me, that would just be like going back in time. Like DCA, and this is what I've said many times. I think Pixar Pier is holding DCA back. I think Pixar Pier actually is holding back the entire resort. I said it when we had Hey Bricky on. I've said it on many videos. Disney wants to make Disneyland Resort more appealing to tourists. Well, it's going to be hard to appeal to tourists when your park looks like a regional park. You drive down, Catella, and you can see the giant Ferris wheel. It's like something out of Knott's Berry Farm. You know what I'm saying? And nothing. No, I'm not shitting on Knott's, but it's like when you're trying to give the impression this is a world-class resort, and you got these attractions that look like local amusement park stuff, it kind of just diminishes the whole vibe of the whole resort. So I think just Pixar Pier just being there right now is a problem. And if they were to go in there on that Disneyland Forward land, like say Simba Lot, and put that Green Army Men thing that you drop, like which is basically the Maliboomer, right?
Yeah, basically.
And that RC Racer thing, which is like another kind of Camp Snoopy kind of ride. Oh man, I'm telling you, you'll never see a rant from me like that. If they throw that crap in there, you will see a rant like no other, dude.
Oh my gosh.
I will throw my fucking computer, bro.
That would be, I mean, that would be so awesome to see in a sense. I mean, not for your computer, because I'd want you to keep your computer. But,
yeah. Oh man, I would be pissed. But now here's the thing. I'm very, it's very unlikely we're going to see something like that. I think for the most part, they're going to want to do, I think the priority right now is Pandora. So I think that's kind of like like right now, the leading contender for that. Yeah. And I also think we've talked about it, Avengers e-ticket, right? That's another thing that we've been hearing from our sources that's further along in the pipeline than people think it is. Those are the two that I think they're really going to push. The wild card stuff is like, are they going to replace Utopia with like Hollywood Land, stuff like that? But I just can't see a Toy Story Land in the equation. But it might be like, the Simba Lot is huge. You don't have to just build Pandora there. You can do Pandora and Toy Story Land.
Exactly.
That's
See,
the
and,
thing, you know?
but here's the thing, and the reason what it's leaning more towards, I don't want to say just Toy Story. I wish that they wouldn't, in a sense, because there's so many other great Pixar IP that they could use. I just feel like they're going to do something with Pixar again, because the transition from the pier over to the Simba parking lot, and then you're going to have the Pixar Place Hotel.
Right.
You're going to need a good transition. And I think, honestly, unless they put it over in the Paradise Gardens, I think, honestly, the best, like, number one contender would be Coco.
Coco is it, dude. Coco is the property that is Pixar. It's Latin culture, which again I've said it a million times. You can't have California without Latin culture. It just doesn't make any sense. So Coco would be perfect. So if you want to bulldoze that whole area, the Paradise Gardens, and even extend the Coco area over Disneyland Drive, and even have it bleed into the Simba lot stuff before you get to like Pandora, that's awesome, dude. That's awesome, because then you have Pixar, the Pixar transition still, you know what I'm saying? And then you go from Coco to like Pandora. Okay, I can see that. That makes a little more sense. But the Toy Story stuff, I feel like it's kind of like The Simpsons. There's no real way to do it that looks good. At least they haven't done it yet that looks good. It all looks cheap to me.
And honestly, I'm going to go a little bit balls to the wall, because you had mentioned A Bug's Land. If I had to pick and choose as far as aesthetic wise, I would take A Bug's Land over Toy Story Land. And the reason why I say that is because because A Bug's Land gives you that impression that you're outdoors. You see the blades of grass, you see the flowers, you see everything. You are at the size of a bug, which in Toy Story Land, you're supposed to be the size of a toy, but again, you're in a backyard. There's like really nothing that kind of like ties you into the actual storyline of Toy Story, where with A Bug's Land, you're put in the Bug's world.
Right.
I wish that if they were to do something with Toy Story, it would have been something like with Al's Toy Barn, the Sunnyside Daycare.
Yes, or even I think it was, oh man, who said it? I forgot. It might have been Drew, if I'm not mistaken. Do Toy Story, but like as the toys, when the toys play and they tell their stories. There's like that one, like the Toy Story shorts, where they come across these like dinosaur warriors and things like that. I don't know the name of these things.
Yeah, like it's the Rex is like Partysaurus, and like the Time Forgotten and
Forgotten, yes. Yeah. So like stuff like that, where it's like the Toy Story characters, but like in their world, and it's like more immersive. That would be cool. But when you just put them in the Andy's backyard for the 15th time, it's boring. It's unimaginative, So we'll see, man. We'll be there at the D23 fan event, and I'm telling you, I'll be sitting right next to you. If they announce Toy Story Land, you will hear the Italiano laughing from all the way there. I swear, this is going to be crazy.
This is going to be nuts. It's going to be nuts. And I want to bring something else to your attention, and you tell me what you think. I did mention it briefly. I believe it was on our recent Hey Bricky video, but with all this going on of what we're talking about right now, the possible changes for Tomorrowland, for Disneyland Forward, what's going to go into the Simba parking lot, what's the fate of the pier and Paradise Gardens and what have you. A lot of this is we're thinking in our minds of what Disney may be announcing for the parks panel. And I had touched upon a notion that if they were to have done a presentation or a panel at D23 that was solely just blue sky ideas.
Right.
Separate it from the parks. So when you go into that panel, people are going in with the mindset, okay, we're hearing ideas that may happen, but we're going to walk out of it saying, okay, that was just part of that presentation.
Yes.
When you go into the parks presentation, we want hard news. We want what's actually is about to hit the ground running. And right. I mentioned it a little bit, but we didn't really like discuss it as much. What's your take on that?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea. It's all about setting expectations, right? So if you have a parks panel, the parks panel needs to be stuff that's greenlit and ready to go. When you go into that panel, you're expecting to hear stuff that they're going to actually build. Okay, that's just the way it is. I know Josh Giamaro and their team, they want to change that expectation, I guess, with this blue sky stuff. It's not a good idea. The fans don't like it. All it does is piss people off and frustrate people. And I'm just saying that, look, I'm not, again, it sounds harsh, but I'm trying, I want Giamaro and I want him to succeed. because I want the parks division to flourish. And if you get up there, I'm telling you, and give us a bunch of blue sky stuff, the fans are going to reject it. They're not going to go for that again. So with the parks panel, you have to give concrete stuff, and you have to give some assurances that the stuff that even we're announcing is going to actually get built, right? Now, if you do your idea, which I think is brilliant, and you have a whole other panel dedicated to like, this is stuff that we're thinking about, that's awesome. Because now you're setting the expectation on where we're going to go into this panel. These are not announcements. These are blue sky. These are what if. They can still do their blue sky stuff, but it's separate from the confirmed park announcements. That's perfect. You know, I feel though they'll never do that, because I feel like the what if blue sky maybe coulda shoulda stuff is a way for them to sort of beef up the presentation without actually announcing anything. A lot of words, a lot of stuff being said, but not a whole lot of actual tangible stuff. I think it's a tactic in a lot of ways to like just fill in the time. So we say, oh, we went for an hour and look at all the stuff we talked about. So if they do your idea, right, where they separate the two, then it kind of defeats the purpose of why they were doing it, which sucks, you know?
Yeah.
They want to go in there and they want to sprinkle the blue sky in there so they can say, we did an hour and a half and we talked about all this stuff, even though 40% of it was not even greenlit, you know?
And that would force their hand to actually approve more projects all at once, because if you're going to present a panel of just, you know, greenlit attractions, then you have to make it a full-on presentation, which is going to possibly give you maybe like 10 to 15 actual greenlit projects.
Right.
But you're right.
Exactly.
Disney's not going to do that.
They won't, because I think the blue sky stuff, they thought that somewhere along the way, they thought if we announce stuff we're thinking about, it gives us a headline without actually having to follow through with it. You know, and you're kind of like focus grouping the idea to see, are people going to like it? You know, I think the blue sky stuff in the park panel is a really bad idea. And they've tried it now, like twice, and it's fallen flat each time. I really hope they don't go like hard into that. Now, we heard from our friend Alia Aloha. Shout out to Alia. We love Alia. She went to the Adventures by Disney thing a few months ago. She actually talked to Josh D'Amaro. She actually walked up and asked him about this. And he told her there's going to be a mix of it at the parks panel. Remember, she confirmed it.
Yes.
We're going to make announcements, but we're also going to give some blue skies. So it's already been confirmed they're going to do that, but I still think it's a bad idea. I think you should just stick to the greenlit stuff.
I think if what he told Alia is, and that's the truth of what the approach that they're doing, and it didn't change since then, and they do a mix of the blue sky, which I think for sure that's the route that he's going to go. It makes me wonder if the mixed blue sky stuff is going to be for Disneyland, minus where Pandora is going to be, and we're going to get maybe a full clearance of what this Avengers e-ticket attraction is going to be. We already know where it's going, but it's basically what is it, and then where is Pandora going to go, and maybe possibly Zootopia with Hollywoodland. Other than that, I think they'll throw some other projects at us with Disneyland, but I think they will get away with that blue sky because of Disneyland Forward.
Yeah, it's possible. And, you know, yeah, Avengers e-ticket, I think will be, they have to come through with that one. It's been too many years now. Either, pardon the French, but either shit or get off the pot. You know what I'm saying? So if they're not going to talk about, like, if you don't want to do it, then don't talk about it and just be done. It's dead, right? Yeah. So, but like we're hearing it's not dead. We're actually hearing it's pretty far along in the process. So that one, I think is we're going to get information on that almost certainly, based on what we're hearing and basically how long it's been since this thing was announced. They got to move on this thing now. Pandora, I think, is also a given. They've been really pushing that. The franchise is like $1 billion franchise. I think we got artwork recently a few months ago for the land, the concept art. I think we'll get details on Pandora as well. So those two things I think are, I would say, very, very secure on the Disneyland Resort column. But I would even say that if let's just say they bring Zootopia to Disneyland Resort, let's just say they use our idea, or, you know, where they replace Hollywoodland with Zootopia, that might even be a blue sky thing. That might to see, hey, what do you guys think? If we took Hollywoodland out and put Zootopia there, what do you think, everybody? That might be a blue sky.
Yeah, that is true.
So we'll see. We might get some blue sky stuff at Disneyland because last time or last couple times we didn't get any blue sky. It's all blue sky was from Florida.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now that could have been, to be fair to Disney as well, that could have been because Governor Ron DeSantis was playing his games. Okay, now that's just where I stand on it. If you have a different opinion, that's fine, But like, I think it was ridiculous, the whole thing, And then it ended up getting someone on the board, running the board that's pro Disney anyway. It's like, it was so stupid. It was obviously just for his political, aspirations. He just wanted to play to his base or whatever. It was baloney. But anyway, long story short, it could have been the what if blue sky stuff could have been in part because the political environment was very unknown. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So they were sort of like, well, we can't get on the D23 Expo stage and say we got nothing for Walt Disney World. It's our biggest resort. But we got, we got Ronnie over here, causing all kinds of problems. They didn't want to commit to something because they didn't know what the outcome was going to be. So that, to be fair to them, to be fair to Josh, it could have been a lot of that. So we'll see, we'll see how it is this time. Now we don't have the DeSantis problem. Now they're getting along because he dropped out of the presidential race. There's no need for it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's stupid, but
honestly, and I hope with the route with Beyond Big Thunder, there's still a possibility that might be a blue sky thing too, because they never really locked in what's really going to go there.
If they do that again, George, I'm telling you, the fans are going to be pissed. If you blue sky Beyond Big Thunder one more time, they're better off not even talking about it.
It really is, yeah.
I think it was in the Bricky video, when he was talking about the one we reacted to today.
Yes.
I think he'd be better off if they don't have a plan for Beyond Big Thunder, don't even talk about it. If you get up there again and say, "What if we did villains? What if we did this?" Fans are just going to roll their eyes, dude. It's too much.
Yeah, and especially in the Honda Center.
I know.
With double the capacity of diehard Disney fans.
I know. It's crazy. I'd rather have less announcements, but have them be real.
Which is actually quite interesting because I got a little tidbit off of D23 when I called to confirm that our badges were, ready and activated and everything.
They're building Westcott. I knew it.
Yep.
I fucking knew it.
You did, right? But the D23 representative told me that it's because we got our badges for the Anaheim Convention Center, and the Honda Center tickets come separate in an email, that basically the price tag that someone had bought for the Ultimate Fan Pass that has both, you're basically paying for the actual seat, not the Honda Center.
Oh, okay.
So for people that are buying these really high price tickets for like the front row seats and everything, and they're just going to get a blue sky rendition of, that might get ugly,
Exactly.
because if people are putting out an arm and a leg to basically buy for a presentation. And that's where it kind of concerns me to Drew the Disney Dude's theory that if they turn this into a big kind of Broadway style production, hey, you're getting your money's worth.
Right. Exactly. Oh, well, the blue sky stuff didn't work out so much the last time. So we'll minimize that. We'll still do a little bit. We'll minimize that, but we'll give them basically a concert.
Yeah.
So they get their, like you said, they get their money's worth. I just, it's frustrating. This is what's frustrating. We hear Iger talk about turbocharging the parks. 60 billion this, 60 billion that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if they get on that stage and they can't announce anything, or it's very slim with the offerings, it's like, what's the point? When you say a dollar amount, but there's
doesn't mean nothing.
It means nothing to me. You could say $60 trillion. That means nothing to me if I don't know what projects we're building. I don't care about the dollar. I want to know, like when they did it right with Galaxy's Edge. This is Galaxy's Edge. We're not building one, we're building two. And this is $1 billion land. So we have a project that we're getting and we have a dollar amount to the project. When you just give a dollar amount, it means nothing.
Yeah. Look even how the quick progress it was for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway at Toontown.
Right.
I mean, that really didn't take really long, like from the announcement to actual building. And they actually built it basically from the ground up, you know, so to speak. I mean,
when
it
Disney
was
wants to do something, they'll hustle it, you know.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But this is the one thing that I'm really kind of like, when it comes to Josh tomorrow, this is the one thing that really has me hesitant for him with his leadership. Because as a leader, you need to have like kind of like the business and social intelligence to understand that this blue sky stuff is not working out. It's not, or that turning the parks panel into a giant concert isn't what fans are there for. And it makes me nervous that he's in the line. He's basically top 5 or whatever for the next CEO. We have a changing landscape with the studio right now. It's not just Disney. It's not just the Mouse House. It's all of Hollywood is going through a seismic shift. Warner Brothers is just talking the other day about they might split up again. Okay, with the streaming and all this stuff, there's a lot going on with the studio. We cannot have a leader that's going to get in there if Josh is the CEO who can't make a decision. That worries me, dude. It really, the park stuff, it's a very stable division, so it can weather the tomorrow storm, so to speak. But the studio can't. We can't afford to have this nonsense where you don't pull the trigger on projects. We can't afford that with the studio. And I'm afraid he gets in there and we're gonna have the same BS with the studio now. And we can't afford it on that end. We just can't.
And even just as of today, we lost a board member. You know, we went from 12 down to 11.
Yeah, I forgot the gal's name. I think she's a CEO of Oracle, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. Yeah. I wonder what that's about. I would love to be a fly on that wall and get a little tea, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Well, yeah, you know, I get special access from Bob Iger. Probably give him a call.
Yeah. You could discuss it in your next tea time.
Yeah, exactly.
Up at Palm Springs.
Yeah. Well, we usually do Malibu, George. Usually Malibu.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
you know. No, but fantastic conversation, Italiano. If you could let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You can also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
Damn, George, you make it look easy, bro. There we go. I love how we integrate K-pop in with Disney. It's like, you know, it's all kind of seamlessly.
We're the only ones that do that, bro. We're one of a kind.
One of a kind. Thank you all so much for watching this episode of OG55. Comment down below with all your thoughts on everything we talked about today. Tomorrowland, Toy Story Land, D23 Expo, the announcements, what might come, what might not come, the approach that Disney is using with this blue sky stuff. We'd love to hear from you. Comment down below. And until the next time.
세상이 누구에게나 공평하게 추악해.